What's up, wrestling fans? Happy Thanksgiving weekend. And as you all know, it is that time of year where WWE will bring us the Survivor Series pay-per-view, which is coming up later today as of this upload. And with Survivor Series, obviously, over the last couple of years, will also come the War Games matches that they do, where they bring out the two rings and have the giant steel cage match, featuring two teams of 5 competing against each other, both for the men and for the women. And while I am, going to watch the pay-per-view, because I always think these War Games matches are a lot of fun, I do wish that WWE would do something to sort of spice up the pay-per-view a little bit, or to spice up the War Games match itself, and to kind of bring us something a little bit different and unexpected compared to what we've gotten over the last couple of years. Because let's face it, War Games is essentially turning into what Survivor Series used to be, where it's the same thing every single year. I don't know, just to me it feels like it's not really that important anymore. Like, yeah, they are pitting two teams, that have sort of blood feuds with each other, or there's like a faction versus a bunch of baby faces and stuff. Like, that is going on inside this match, but it doesn't feel that impactful, I guess, to the overall story that they've been trying to tell within WWE. Like, they're putting rivalries on hold and that kind of thing. So here are some ways that if WWE were to change War Games a little bit, or to kind of do something different with it in order to improve it, here are some ways that I think they could do that going forward into the future, and make it feel just as important as, say, the Royal Rumble Elimination Chamber and all that stuff. So let's get into it. So first of all, the biggest, I think, improvement they could make for Survivor Series and War Games in general is to have some stakes to it. Like, yeah, the stakes, I guess, right now would be that the two teams are all bitter rivals colliding together in one big match where they all team up. It's like the Avengers versus Thanos and stuff. It's a team of good guys versus a team of bad guys. But I feel like there needs to be more to it than just that. Because even over the years when they always did, the traditional Survivor Series 10-man elimination match and everything, there was never really any stakes other than, this is a battle for brand supremacy. It's the best stars from Raw versus the best stars from SmackDown. And after a while, that just got kind of dumb, because even people that were rivals, heels and baby faces alike, would join forces for their brand, and it kind of didn't make any sense. They'd put aside these bitter feuds to have them team up once a year, and even with War Games now, it feels like there's nothing, they don't really get anything out of this either, other than we got to beat the good guys, or we got to beat the bad guys, and that sort of thing. So I think they should put some kind of stakes to it, like maybe the 5 members of the winning team get to face each other in a number 1 contenders match for the world championship or a title or something, just to give it a bit of intrigue around the match so that it does feel more important. It feels like there's something at stake. At least give it some kind of kick to really make us invested in it, other than just, it's these bitter blood feuds between 2 factions going at it, basically. That's kind of what it's been the last several years. When they started War Games back up again, it was all, for a couple years there, it was all the Bloodline or Judgment Day was a faction against 5 other, random baby faces all joining forces to take them down and stuff. Or you had the Bloodline Civil War between Solo Sikoa's bloodline and Roman Reigns' original bloodline and all that stuff that happened last year, I think. But there's still not really any stakes to it. So I think they should add some kind of stakes to it down the line where it makes sense for story purposes. You can start the build to WrestleMania there or something, so that at least we have a reason to watch it, other than just, it's going to be a fun steel cage match between 10 people competing against each other. It's just something to do over Thanksgiving weekend. Like, give us something more impactful and meaningful from it, not just another pay-per-view, basically. I think another thing that they should do to change War Games a bit and make it more interesting is to not include wrestlers in it that have nothing to do with the feuds that were already included in it. So, like, for example, this year, Cody Rhodes is joining forces with CM Punk against the Vision and their group, the group formed by Paul Heyman. And Cody Rhodes has nothing to do with that. He's on SmackDown, in his own completely separate universe, basically, his own completely separate feud with Drew McIntyre. But WWE needs to make it a 5-on-5 match. I don't know what's wrong with having it as a 4-on-4 and just having the Raw stars that have been feuding with the Vision all this time, all year long, competing against the Vision, which would now include Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, Brock Lesnar, and Logan Paul. Which is fine that they added them to, but adding like Drew McIntyre and Cody Rhodes to the mix just didn't make any sense. They just wanted to have a fifth person, and they have nothing to do with that. I feel like it works better when it's people involved in it that are actually connected to each other and have been feuding all year long or something, which is why it works so well, with like Roman Reigns and the original Bloodline versus Solo Sikoa's new Bloodline. It's because they told that story throughout the year that Solo was trying to take over the Bloodline, and then Roman eventually needed help to try and take down this new Bloodline, so he went and recruited the Usos and Sami Zayn. But then, of course, even in that match, they had to add in random people like Bronson Reed and CM Punk just to fill out a 5-person team when they didn't really need to do that. I think just stick to the amount of people per team that is necessary, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Don't keep adding people to it that have nothing to do with it. Like, I know the first one, when they brought War Games back for NXT, I think they had a 3-on-3-on-3 match inside War Games. Like, it made sense. They put 3 factions together in that match, and then there was a 4-on-4 like for a couple years there in NXT, because it was always Undisputed Era versus 4 other baby faces. So like, I think they should go back to that and stop including people in it that have nothing to do with it just to fill out the team and add an extra person to it. If you need 3 people for the team, then make it a 3-on-3 match. It doesn't have to be 5-on-5. I don't know where they got that idea. It has to be 5-on-5. I guess because they're sticking to the Survivor Series tradition of having 5-on-5, but they don't really need that. Like, just stick to whoever's involved in the feud should be finishing the feud inside War Games, not including other people that don't need to be there. Another way that WWE can make War Games feel more special, I think honestly they should just take a break from it for a little while. It being every year kind of makes it fall into the same pattern that Survivor Series was in all those years. Everybody started getting tired of seeing the traditional 5-on-5 Raw versus SmackDown Survivor Series elimination matches, and I get there was a bit of time. There were a couple in there where they just had rivals in the matches and not, Raw versus SmackDown all the time. But it was still, they put feuds and matches on hold to include champions and everything else in these Survivor Series matches just because they felt that they needed to do this because it was their tradition. And by doing it every year, I feel like people started getting tired of it. Well, now I feel like the same thing's happening with War Games. They've been doing it too much, I think, to where it's starting to get to that same point where we're eventually going to get tired of it. I know they are usually awesome matches and stuff, but I feel like it needs to take a break every once in a while. Like, maybe they can bring it out anytime that they have, like, a faction going up against a whole bunch of other random, like, baby faces or something on Raw, and they've been building towards this sort of match over the course of a year or whatever. Then you can bring it back out. It doesn't even have to be at Survivor Series every year. Just bring it out for other pay-per-views or something, kind of like Hell in a Cell has been lately. I think that would maybe kind of make it feel a little fresh and give us a break from it, because every year we're expecting it. Like, for example, this year, as soon as Seth Rollins turned heel and joined forces with Paul Heyman at WrestleMania, and then Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker joined him, I knew immediately, and this was early in the year, that, this is going to be your War Games feud. He's going to feud with CM Punk and Roman Reigns and maybe the Usos or something. So it feels like they're building toward War Games from the start of the year, from WrestleMania pretty much. And I don't think they really need to do that. Like, maybe take a break from War Games for a couple of years, because now it almost feels like a chore for them. They have to come up with who's going to be in this match. And sometimes it doesn't really make any sense, like I mentioned earlier. I think they should just make Survivor Series a good end-of-the-year pay-per-view. Just have it be like another SummerSlam, another WrestleMania, whatever, and don't have your 5-on-5 matches. And then every couple of years, bring out your War Games match, whatever, if they don't want to do the Survivor Series elimination match anymore. I think that would work a little better. We wouldn't grow tired of it. We'd be kind of waiting for it in a way. And maybe they can spend even more time sort of building a story around it. And also, there's the risk of including some major stars in War Games every year, which can alter your storylines if they get injured. Like, for example, this year, both the World Heavyweight and WWE Champion are in the War Games match. So if one or both of them gets injured, basically even your WrestleMania plans will pretty much be altered, and they'll have to change those because their champions were injured in this type of match. So taking a break from it, keeping it on hold for a while, and not like risking an injury from your major stars, I think would be the better choice than to have War Games every single year. And finally, one last way that I think they could improve War Games a bit is to kind of alter the roles slightly. So like maybe instead of having like a 5-on-5 tag team match as they've been doing or something, make it like 10 individual stars competing against each other or something, or 8, whatever the number they want to go with. So like for example, it would still have the same rules. They'd all come out at different intervals or whatever, one at a time, but nobody can get a pinfall until all 10 are in the ring. So you can still have the same things kind of happening, but there's just no teams involved. It's one man for himself. Then you can have, like I said, you can have the stipulation of it being for a title opportunity, maybe at the Royal Rumble or something, or on the first Raw of the new year or something. I think that would be even more entertaining, seeing it sort of like a Battle Royal or like a Royal Rumble kind of thing, but inside a steel cage with the 2 rings and everything. There's no eliminations. It's a traditional War Games style match, but changing the rules a bit and making it like a one-on-one and so on type of match, or doing something else with it, adding a stipulation like I said, or making the rules slightly different. Like if you look at AEW's variation of War Games, they do what they call the Blood and Guts match, which is a submit or surrender style of War Games. There's the 2 rings with the cage. The cage actually has a roof in theirs versus WWE's being the open steel cage match instead. And the only way for anyone to win in that match is when all 10 are in the ring, and they can only win by submission or surrender. So like they torture each other to the point of I surrender, I can't take this pain anymore, and that kind of stuff. But still, just like a little simple change like that, making it submissions only instead of pinfalls, or making it 10 individual stars instead of teams, or something along those lines, just to freshen it up a little, I think would make it a little bit more interesting. You can do so many different things with it in that regard if they were to kind of tweak the rules a little bit and play around with it and just have fun with it, do different things with War Games so it's not just the same format every single year. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Do you like the way that they're currently doing War Games? Do you look forward to it every single year, or do you think they should maybe change it a little bit and do kind of the things that I said? Let me know all that down in the comments. Also, let me know what your favorite War Games match has been so far since WWE brought it back, even in the NXT Black and Gold days. Also, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more. And if you're a wrestling fan, check out all the other wrestling content we've got on this channel as well, and any that we will upload in the future. Thank you for watching the video, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one.